gotten used to me being right most of the time.
I mean, it's a fact that I'm learning to accept, and I'm trying to take
No,
with
I was
grace.
right. He was Barry Zuckercorn in Arrested Development. I had it right.
Wait,
Is
he was
he?
also the
Yes.
Fonz? No way.
Yes, same guy.
Really?
Yes.
But John Michael Higgins played the fact that there's a guy named John Michael Higgins who played the Fonz to begin
No,
with.
Henry Winkler played the Fonz.
Oh yeah, but the guy we're talking about is John Michael Higgins.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
They look kind of similar, but no.
Oh well, it's all good.
Wait, what are you talking about, though? Who?
We're talking
Barry
the first.
Zuckercorn.
There's the first lawyer that's in Arrested Development.
He's the one that's like always kind of gay and doesn't know shit about law.
No, he goes out on a date with somebody, doesn't he? Doesn't
I
he go
could
on a
swear. Aren't we talking about? Okay, maybe I have just thought they had the same lawyer the whole time.
I'm not actually talking about the same lawyer that Miguel's talking about. I'm not even talking about Barry Zuckercorn. I'm talking about because Barry Zuckercorn's the worst lawyer.
Yeah, or
That's
the
the guy
best lawyer, depending.
That's Henry Winkler.
Yeah, that is the. You're right. That absolutely is the Fonz. That's crazy. He's just I don't recognize him with gray hair, but when I think about it now and I time travel him back like 30 years, that's totally him.
But that's not the same actor.
No, but the guy who plays Barry Zuckercorn does play the Fonz. The guy who play, but Miguel and I are talking about John Michael Higgins, who in Arrested Development. I'm gonna look this up now because I have to know this because it's very pertinent to a video game podcast. He portrays Wayne Jarvis. That's who we're talking about, and he's only in 3 seasons. But anyways, I digress. This is a video game podcast.
I don't digress.
Yeah. Well, we have to digress. We have to get off this train. It's a slightly delayed video game podcast because of reasons and things happening on a normal Wednesday. But we're here. We're getting caught up. And it probably actually serves better anyways because there was some good news that came out today. So get to throw that on the document. I'm your host, Kevin Harrison. It is currently October 29th, 2015. How you guys doing?
Oh, you're right. It is.
Everybody talk at once.
We did.
This is a rare moment where I'm wrong.
Oh no. How you doing, Trey? What have you been up to? What you been playing?
I'm all right. I've been up to school. I've been up to school work. I've been up to thinking about school, doing things about school.
Aren't you in the interim of where there's a bunch of fall break stuff happening? Like you got a few weeks and then Thanksgiving's gonna happen.
Fall break already happened a while ago, and I'm getting ready to take a Japanese midterm tomorrow. So
I'd say something in Japanese, but I don't know anything really.
It's okay. I'd rather you not.
Kawaii desu.
Yeah, ikadekimasu.
Like that, Miguel.
We're just gonna keep. Okay, we're gonna do this. So you haven't been playing that many video games then? I take it?
Not really at all. I played like a game of Armello the other day. I played a game of Blood Bowl like Monday evening, I think. And that's really it.
I was considering installing that off of your Steam account and giving it a try, but I've been trying a bunch of other stuff. So
you should try it out. It's a good fun game to play. You could play a game against Michael sometime. And,
I'm gonna make a confession right here and right now. I don't actually know how to play football.
It's okay. It's not football.
I was in marching band for 4 years, and I don't know how to play football.
It's okay. It's not football. It has its own rule set. In fact, it probably resembles rugby more than it does really resemble football because it's more just about teams lining up and then maybe getting the ball and maybe getting to the other end zone. But mostly it's
I'm going to make another confession right here live on camera. I don't know how to play rugby.
It's okay.
Rugby is infinitely hotter.
I'm going to make a third confession on stream here. I don't know how to play sports.
Can you roll dice?
Maybe. Is that a sport?
Not really, no.
Then I probably know how to do it.
Unless you can roll dice, or at least you can differentiate between symbols and through context clues learn what they do, you'll probably be okay.
For the longest time, 4-sided dice, like, I had no idea that you were supposed to read everything that was on the top pyramid. I thought you were supposed to add up all the numbers on the bottom.
It depends on the die.
Yeah. But
some of them are printed where the number's on the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah. But you don't add anything, usually.
Yeah, but no, I mean the ones I'm thinking of have numbers on 3 points and they all match the points.
Yeah.
So.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I haven't thought about dice in a while. Miguel, what about you? What you been up to?
Nothing. I have done a whole lot of nothing this week.
Really? Not like school stuff or?
I mean, I
Working
had
out or
to.
what?
I spent 9 hours 2 days ago writing a program.
Program.
Yeah,
Fun.
that's what you get for waiting for the last second. And not only that, but I had to help 2 other people write theirs. So I am
Gotcha.
a giving person. I am a kind person.
Okay, so you guys are clearly busy being students and
They
whatnot.
must remember this when I become their leader.
I can't hold it too hard against you guys, so that's fine. Well, I managed to throw in a few video games here and there with the time that I've had here. But I've messed around with a few like HD or like director's cut stuff. Like the Wasteland 2's director's cut came out a while ago. I've messed around with that a little bit. Divinity Original Sins Enhanced Edition came out this past week. I
I
messed
do
around
want to
with
see
that. It's pretty. That game was already really good. This makes it better. So
I haven't
Yeah.
actually taken the time to play it all the way through by myself yet, so.
I've only ever gotten to the first city, and then there was something
But
with.
there's only really the one
Well,
city.
well,
really.
I didn't know that.
but I mean, there's like that is like the town, but there's another town on that island, and there's a bunch of different maps. So like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff to see in that game.
There's a lot of crap. Yes.
Yeah. It's a full featured, huge tracts of land game. Let's see. I also, for whatever reason, decided to, since I had like an external hard drive over here, download the Old Republic. Because I've been hearing good review stuff about the 4.0 patch, and decided to try that out, free-to-play stuff, and it's an MMO, so that's a
I was
thing.
gonna say, are you enjoying it? When that game first came out as free to play, I bought. So basically, when a game comes out free to play, but before that, you have a subscription to the game where you bought the game. They kind of graduate you to like the
Right.
preferred status. So I did that with that game. I did that with what's it, WildStar?
Yeah, that also
I-
just recently went free-to-play.
Yeah, like a month or two ago. But that game probably has the most oppressive free-to-play format.
What Tor does, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that I only have 2 hotbars before I
Yeah.
pay money, that's pretty incredible. You have like 3 races you can pick between, all the stuff. I will say, like, you can get achievements in the game that earn you some of the premium currency, and if you end up spending just $5 on their premium currency, it upgrades you to a second tier, not subscriber tier, that
Yeah.
does stuff like unlocks sprinting early and lets you create more than 2 characters. So
Ooh, calm down, Kevin. You're getting me excited.
Ooh. Yeah, I know, right?
I
I-
totally bought the Twilight race.
The what? I kind of want to buy the Chiss race, which is those like blue skin, red eyed. What was the name of the person in the? Was it Commander Thrawn in the Thrawn trilogy?
Yeah.
He was in
Yeah.
Chiss, right? Yeah. I kind of want to do that, but I will say like fully voiced MMOs. That's really like the future here. That adds a lot to that game.
Well, you say it adds a lot to that game, but apparently that game really only has that going for it. The PvE aspect is apparently rather weak. The PvP is also rather weak, so people mostly just play it for the story.
Yeah, I've heard that people have said the story is really good, and this goes some really new, like the new expansion that's attached to it goes to some neat places. I think the only other like MMO story I've heard as high reverently is Heavensward, which I'm sure you claim is the best.
No, it just makes it feel like a Final Fantasy game.
Okay, which is, I mean, it's fine in your book though. Yeah, I don't like. There are parts of that game that are still kind of confusing, but they have also upped the leveling speed, so you end up hitting, being able to pick your subclass before you even get done with your first like planet story. But I don't know. I'm probably just gonna mess with that on and off. It's kind of nice to have something like that, but not have to sink any real money into it if I don't feel like it. I feel like there's other stuff that I played, but I can't remember what. Mostly just Divinity and Wasteland. Those are the 2 things that I've been messing around with, and I'm just waiting for Fallout still, so that's me. But anyways, let's get to some news since you guys don't have many games to talk about. Did anybody take a look at some of the stuff that was Paris Games Week?
My eyes were kind of glued to that when it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a few things as I was passing through my normal browsing, but nothing really stuck in my head as something I cared too much about, honestly.
Right. This is like, I don't ever remember watching Paris Games Week at all, like any prior years.
I think it's only happened. It's really young.
Yeah.
It comes from them wanting another European venue for games outside of Gamescom.
I mean, it's kind of interesting when you look at it like that because Gamescom was almost completely Microsoft, and I haven't seen any Microsoft stuff out of Paris Games Week, so it's sort of like, you guys take Cologne, we're going to take Paris, in that way we don't have to fight, I guess, kind of.
But also it's a little weird since in 2 months PlayStation Expo is happening, PlayStation Experience.
Yeah, and I'm wondering what else they're going to have left to talk about there.
Name changes. Ooh.
Yeah, I like there because the stage show that they had, which was I think a little under 2 hours, there was a lot of stuff. Like, it really makes me think that they're like winding up for making 2016 really strong, considering that. I mean, I don't know how they can keep selling more consoles. Like, there was a report recently that they sold 4 million consoles in the last 3 months, and I'm just like, that's cool. We need some games to play on these things now. But anyways, let's just go down the list. So for Miguel here, they've got another Street Fighter character in here. They got
Dhalsim, Old Man Dhalsim. Not the last character to be added, just the last of the old school characters.
Right, and they've got a sweet Yogi beard now, so
Yoga.
he kind of looks like Santa in a few of those shots, which is, I don't know, disconcerting.
How many like DLC characters does that bring us to now?
DLC? None.
Well, yeah, they've got one more main character that they're supposed to announce. Oh, wait a minute, hold on, I'm getting it. It's actually Harada, the director of Tekken 7. He's the 16th character. No, they've announced that they're going to do 6 DLC characters for the first year of the game, and the way that this is all situated now is that you can buy them with real money, or you have a in-game currency called Fight Money, and you can unlock all these characters with your Fight Money.
I mean, you put air quotes around it, but that's a reference back to Street Fighter, especially with Balrog or.
It was like their ending stage taunt or something like that, right?
Well, he would be like, when you kill him or knock him out, he'd say, "My fight money."
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm surprised that Capcom didn't decide to call it Zenny. I'm sure maybe that's the name of the premium currency. I don't know. But that's their plan right now, is to kind of I feel like kind of adopting MOBA-ish kind of stuff there.
I don't know.
Why didn't they call them Bison Bucks?
Bison Bucks. There you go.
That would have been perfect.
Well, the problem with that is Bison isn't the same in every region.
Oh
yeah, that's right. Yeah, because he's what is he? Balrog?
No, Balrog is Vega. Vega is the commander. Balrog is Claw. Bison is Boxer.
I don't think they actually have Boxer yet as the cast list, do they?
No, they don't.
Yeah, so I mean that would, if you want to keep that triangle joke going. Although some people are thinking that's like one of the DLC characters right now.
I mean, this is exactly how I said. I said that they're probably going to do something very similar to how Killer Instinct was rolling out characters and seasons and stuff, so that they don't iterate with new $40 games. Instead, they just roll out patches and let you. And the fact that you can buy them for free, that might make Killer Instinct reevaluate their procedure.
Yeah, like I was gonna say that this sounds like they're chopping a lot of characters out, but then as soon as you said that you can earn it by just basically playing the game enough, that just sounds to me like the old unlockable conditions of play 1,000 hours of this game to get this character. And yeah, it'd be silly, but it'd be things people would do and get secret characters and stuff. So,
and, I mean, you're buying a base game that comes with 16 characters. Like,
yeah.
Don't forget that as well. I'm curious what this ends up doing to future release models of this. Like, theoretically, we're not going to get a super. Well, I mean, maybe we will get Super Street Fighter V, but
it'll probably be called the patch. The patch be called Super Street Fighter.
Right. Or, I mean, I can see, like, 2 or 3 years, like, a Game of the Year edition that's the same $60 price but comes with all the DLC characters up till then. And then you have, like, a super discounted original base version. I'm curious if this version that's coming out now will eventually be compatible with later versions that end up getting released.
Well, that's what they've been saying, that they are not going to be releasing different versions, that this version should carry you through the length of the game of the Street Fighter V.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. For you, Miguel, is there any must-have character for the 16th slot?
For this, see, I would like if Ingrid was in it.
You've said that, but I feel like
But
that's a really long shot.
yeah, I mean it's. But the only reason I really would want her to be in it is because she kind of is very central to where Rose and Bison get their powers from, the psycho power and soul power.
Mm-hmm.
But she's a character that's like questionably official.
Can anyone else hear that?
That's me, probably. I think there are some people out in the living room right now. I'm going to try turning down the mic sensitivity a little bit, and if that doesn't work, then I'll have to go out there.
Well, when the game got ported to PSP, Street Fighter Alpha 3, that's when she got added. She wasn't in the original Street Fighter Alpha 3. And so it's questionable whether she's a legit character or not. But other than that, they already added Karen. And that's who I really wanted, so...
Still, I feel like such a strange addition, but, I mean... And we still... For Street Fighter stuff, do we still not know where this takes place in the timeline?
No, this takes place after Street Fighter 4.
But that still doesn't tell us if it's after Street Fighter 3.
No, it is... okay, so Street Fighter 3 happens after Street Fighter 4.
Right.
This happens in between the two.
Damn it. What the hell? I don't know. Never mind. Let's keep going down the line. Oh, that game got a release date of February 16th.
Everything's coming out in February. Prepare for delays.
I feel like there's a lot of stuff, yeah. Actually, even on the 16th, so, yeah. Next, there was a little bit of a game called Boundless. It looks like Minecraft. I have nothing else to tell you about
But the unique thing about that game, though, is that it's like, you can play PC cross PS4.
Mm-hmm.
All the other versions of Minecraft are unique. Like the play is unique, is specified for the console that you're playing on or the PC you're playing on. But this is PC players can play with PS4 players simultaneously.
It's also definitely a lot more graphically polished than anything Minecraft will ever be when it comes right down to it.
It's still cubes, though, everywhere.
It is still cubes.
That's what the children want.
Is cubes.
I mean, that's what Housemarque's games are. They're cubes.
Okay. Big hypothetical dystopian future here. Do you think that because there is so much influence of Minecraft nowadays with the way, like, in terms people that end up building stuff in Minecraft, there are some that will eventually become architects in real life. Do you think that you will ever see modern day buildings and sculptures? Yeah, that there's going to be a rush back to cubism, essentially, in the way that everything is made to harken back to Minecraft, like as like an influence into the real world. Do you think that's a possibility?
Well, possibility, sure.
But
Like,
Trey, you seem more skeptical.
Yeah.
When it comes right down to it, human beings will build anything that they think is aesthetically pleasing and is structurally sound. Very sound, as in case with that glass bridge in China recently. But it didn't collapse, mind you. A piece of it broke. Bad enough.
Right.
But yeah, and so will someone at least try to design something that is inspired from like the cube shapes in Minecraft and things of that nature? Probably. Will it get funded to actually build it? Don't know. That depends on who's going to find it aesthetically pleasing enough to want to pay them to build it.
But you'll have this whole generation, this next generation of gamers that are younger, like a decade or two younger than us. They all grew up with Minecraft.
Yeah, but how many of them are actually going to have been that influenced by it to actually do that?
The numbers alone, the people that have played Minecraft, seem
just because that many people have played Minecraft doesn't mean that many of them are going to end up interested in also building buildings, also finding that aesthetically pleasing enough to want to design it, and then also getting funding to actually build it.
I think the law of averages thinks, for me, like eventually these people are going to get together and do it.
Well, the thing is, you're thinking about this way too specifically. Architecture, probably unlikely, but in other mediums, like in the way that computers are created, sculpture, not even art, just interactable mediums, like computer mediums, food, stuff like that. All these things are probably going to be influenced 20 years from now in some way, not just by Minecraft, but by other things these children have been exposed to.
But mostly Minecraft.
I wouldn't say mostly. I mean, Pokemon has been around forever, but that's not really dictating design.
I think there's a lot of Pokemon knockoffs we saw for a little while.
No, knockoffs, yes, but not design. But they're not dictating design, which is what you're implying.
That is what I am implying. I'm curious, but I'm always curious. Let's keep going down the list. House Marquee. These are the people that made Resogun, Alienation, and all the way, if you go way back in their catalog, Super Stardust. They've got a new sci-fi shootery thing called Matterfall. We just saw a CG clip of it.
Teaser?
We don't really know what it is.
Well, it looks pretty cool.
It looks pretty, but I mean,
It looks very.
If I had to guess, it's probably like an overhead isometric shooter of some kind, because that kind of falls in with their sensibilities. But
Yeah, especially with Super Stardust.
Yeah. Keep going then. Drive Club got Motorcycle, a motorcycle expansion that actually released the day of the conference. So that's on PlayStation Network stuff right now. So
It's a standalone DLC, so you can either own Drive Club and get that, or you can not and get that.
I like the idea of standalone DLC. I think more stuff should do it.
Hmm.
Media Molecule showed off more of their next game, Dreams, and that still looks weird as hell.
Is the thing where you can just be up all of light and build things, and people look at it?
Kinda, yeah. Now you actually control a little imp, but you have characters that you can possess, and you're making it seems like I was like Super Meat Boy. It seems like Little Big Planet, but for more 3D design. It's got a very cohesive art style, and it's very ephemeral and dreamy, as the name should imply. But I'm still not entirely sure what you're supposed to do. And it's probably going to be one of those creation platforms where only 1% of the player base actually makes anything relevant, and the rest of them just make dicks out of clouds. So, no, I mean that's what's going to happen in the game.
I would prefer it if they made clouds out of dicks, personally.
I mean,
dick clouds
we won't know
everywhere.
until we get our hands on that creation engine there. So, but then go nuts. There was a lot of double entendres in that sentence.
It would be interesting if Dreams is supposed to be a more user-friendly platform for game design or for CG design, where the user doesn't have to have expertise in those fields to do it, and you can export the video or you could export the game and let people play it.
And you're on this sort of wrap here because you were looking at game creation engine tools recently.
No, for the last 4 years.
Oh, okay. But particularly, you were telling me how they were also expensive lately. Anyways, there was a huge showcase for PlayStation VR here. This is probably the biggest showcase we've had so far, at least on a main stage demo. First thing was Riggs Mechanized Combat League. It wants to be an esport. It's like a first-person shooting, kind of jumping around. It's very hard to describe. But the whole aesthetic.
What is it, like Robot Wars or like mech suits or?
Kind of mech suits, but they're kind of like little chopper things as well. You have to look at the video. It's very hard to describe.
All right.
The thing that really gets me though is that it has a very Friday Night Combat aesthetic where everything's taking place in an arena and there are team names. There was an announcer talking over the demo itself, along with dumb images of people wearing the headsets. But
sounds like it might be another free-to-play shooter.
I'm still waiting for competitive Metabots.
It's this weird sort of choice, though, to immediately gun for something to be an esport when you can put in options and features into a game that allow it to become, but it's kind of hard to launch a game saying we are an esport. It's up to the community to pick it up.
I think that for the people who are invested in these kind of esports games, so like Counter-Strike Go, MOBAs, fighting games, just generally, this might further pique their interest, but that's already kind of a small demographic.
Right, and if this ends up requiring the headset to play, which I'm assuming because it's on there, you also have what could be the highest barrier to entry for comparatively to other esports. Assuming that the PlayStation VR is going to be priced like a full price console, though we don't have any dates on that yet, or numbers for that matter. They have said they want to release it, I think, 2016 though. Crytek has Robinson the Journey, where you're dodging dinosaurs. It looks like an FMV game, but really pretty. So, I don't know.
Interesting.
You're dodging dinosaurs. That's all I can say. There's something called Battlezone. I think it's like vector tank stuff. I didn't really see much of that. And then Tekken 7 has VR support
All
because
right.
fighting games.
There was some recent popularity in some mods that allowed you to play fighting games in first person.
Yeah.
So it doesn't.
Lest you forget, Tekken 1 actually had a first-person view in its original game that you could play. It was terrible, but you
I
could do
could
it.
see it. I just couldn't understand how that would further immerse someone because you're like.
Maybe if you were a spectator and you were controlling the camera of a fight and you could get up close and look around the fighters.
That's what I want. Guilty Spark Simulator.
I mean, you end up porting that into Street Fighter, then everybody's playing Armika, and we already know where the camera is for all that stuff. Or you could say that for any of the other Tekken fighters, for that matter. But then again, maybe you're just looking up in Chun Kazama's biceps or whatever floats your boat. It just seems like a really weird announcement, but why not? The platform needs more support. So.
Well, I mean, the bigger announcement is that Tekken 7 is coming to consoles.
Is it just PlayStation right now? Is that all we have?
No, it's coming to consoles.
That's okay.
So more than likely Xbox One as
Okay.
well. This is just a confirmation. Before it was just an arcade exclusive.
I think Tekken 6 was all the way back in 2009, so it's been maybe the longest stretch of time we've had since a Tekken game.
No, Tekken Tag Tournament 2.
If you consider that, if we put those in with the numbered series, then sure.
Everyone considers Tekken Tag Tournament 2 or Tekken Tag Tournaments among the better Tekken games, like in the upper rankings of them. So.
Okay. Gran Turismo Sport. This is the next Gran Turismo game, but it's not being called 7. It's in beta early 2016. This is the point of the show where everything dragged down and came to a halt, where they talked about car physics and wanting to fund tournaments. Like, there were 2 they talked about: sponsoring your region and sponsoring a sponsor, I guess. I don't know if they're real cash prizes. I don't know. Like, I'm going to see pretty cars on the PlayStation 4, so that's cool.
Well, it also supports VR.
I didn't see that announcement, but okay, cool. Best thing I saw at that was Michel Ancel's new game, Wild. They showed off. We got a brief look at that, I think, at E3, but now we got gameplay for it, and it is crazy looking. Sort of described as being a Bloodborne, Souls-ish kind of experience, but you're possessing animals and having them. A large portion of this demo was the main shaman character riding on the back of a bear. So.
See, that's where I take kind of a nitpick to this little description. Is a lot of places have been calling this guy a shaman or a shaman when he's really a druid.
Okay, sure. Is
that-
it different armor classes or
No,
different?
traditionally speaking, shamans are more like witch doctors. They're spiritual people who lead and heal.
Mhm.
This guy is interacting with nature in a way that's a lot more intimate than most cultures, which kind of translates to how people define a druid to be.
I mean, it is notable that he's actually going to go get a cure for a tribe's member who is poisoned, so there's the curing of the shaman side. Maybe it's a shaman-druid hybrid. Ooh.
Maybe.
They're already big hybrid classes to begin with.
But most of the gameplay is about druid aspect.
You should take a look at that demo. If there's one thing I absolutely recommend looking at from this conference, it's that game has me pretty excited. And because it's Paris, and finally David Cage came out on stage and talked about his new game, Detroit: Become Human, which is based off an earlier demo that he did called Kara, which was bringing a female android to life, and then she has emotions because David Cage and emotions. And yeah, it looks pretty, I guess. It's going to be an allegory for robot racism or whatever.
Well, I mean, okay, so a lot of people have been saying like this is really unique. This is whatever. I'm just like, no, do androids dream of electric sheep? Like
Kind of.
this is
Thank you.
this is like something that has happened again and again.
This
Like
is very
iRobot is this story. Like
quintessential sci-fi. Sure, I agree with you.
yeah, the whole like how do you define a person, a non-human person? Are they still people?
Like
Like this is
AI sentience. Do
Yeah,
you consider
you
that?
want something that does this pretty well. Go check out Star Trek. Check out the Next Generation. Check out
What is it?
Voyager. Both
Measure of a Man from TNG, where they have to do that's the whole courtroom drama, and Data has to you argue for Data's sentience and all that.
Yeah, there was one point where they're in Voyager where they're arguing for the Doctor's rights as a person over his novel he wrote.
Now the episode where they end up having to delete his memory because the cycles are going back and forth.
Yeah.
Choosing to save one person. That is probably one of my favorites. But it's going to be it's going to be a David Cage game. It's going to fit in with all the other adventure games that are coming out of the woodworks right now. Actually, the trailer I finished up Tales from the Borderlands. The thing is crazy. In a good way.
I have a feeling this game Detroit is going to be pretty better than Beyond Two Souls.
Pretty better.
Especially, well, it's going to be pretty good or better than Beyond Two Souls, mostly because it doesn't seem to be relying on the actors as much, like on Willem Dafoe and on...
Yeah, the Beyond Two Souls did feel more like this is a feature showcase for Ellen Page than it is this is a cohesive narrative. It's going to be pretty, I'm sure.
I haven't really liked any of David Cage's games so far, honestly. They've been okay at best for me. So it's not
you
my
also
style.
you also don't like Telltale games, which is like a tangent of that style of game.
Yeah, this is very much in that same vein. I'm pretty much with Trey on this one. I kind of liked Indigo Prophecy back in the day, but if you go and revisit it now, that thing's kind of hackneyed. Omicron, the Nomad Soul, where you're with the soundtrack by David Bowie, that's where it's at.
Just let him have his foray into this story. But, clearly, I agree that people shouldn't really be calling it original too heavily.
It's going to be a graphic showcase for the platform itself. It'll probably sell well enough that he'll make another game. That's basically what Beyond Two Souls was. That's what Heavy Rain was.
Have fun.
Yep. And that's everything I got out of Paris Games Week. Let's go to the other big announcement, though. This is So, did anybody else read up on this Nintendo stuff? Because I'm still trying to sort of make heads or tails of this.
Not
about
really.
the account system.
The account system, mainly is the thing that still has me. So is this a replacement for friend codes or?
Yes. Thank fucking God! It's about damn time.
Okay, so this means then that Nintendo consoles are going to have to get patched to be able to allow for this? But why don't you rattle off the feature list here?
Of me?
Yes, you.
Okay, well, Nintendo account is going to be the new unified account system across Nintendo platforms for 3DS and Wii U. It connects to smartphones as well, PCs, and Nintendo hardware, so you can do what you can do for PlayStation 4, where you can buy something online and have it begin the queue on your console or on your 3DS. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. You can make accounts through social media platforms, meaning you can log in through Facebook and Gmail. I think there's another one, a third one that I'm forgetting.
I think Twitter's on there as well.
Twitter, you can't live without Twitter. You can get discounts, freebies, and store data via cloud. And
I think they also give you promotional stuff for your birthday on there as well.
Oh, I have one of those, don't I?
This is also coupled in with the replacement for the Club Nintendo stuff, which was their reward system for buying their things. You got points that you could redeem on things. And they retired that, and this is the new thing getting replaced. I think it was also the Ambassador program. So, yeah.
It was seriously about time.
Yeah, the fact that there are now friends lists attached to stuff, which is probably the big thing.
I hope that this has another implied benefit in that you can tie your account to multiple consoles. Like for the Wii U, like if you get your Wii U stolen, you can't recover those games. You lose those games with the Wii U.
Yeah, they're kind of archaic on how they dealt with their account system. So this is a long time coming. I feel like there's some other notification things that have been listed in that article. This is going to be a system that's going to roll out with the Nintendo NX, which we're going to see next year. And if you're in Japan, there are reward point stuff through convenience stores, which is a big old thing that we just don't have over here, and it's probably not really worth getting into. They also announced their first mobile game, which is called Mitomo, I think is what it's called. It looks like Miimoto, but it's actually Mitomo. This basically looks like Tomodachi Life, if you guys remember what that was.
Oh yeah. Can I get Game Married in it?
I don't know. Maybe they might. It's probably in there, but they're gonna patch it out. So.
Okay, that's what I figured. That's what I've learned to expect.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Did you see my check chat?
Your what chat?
On the Hangout.
I mean everything's right here on my side. So, but we're getting some other stuff on the chat here that's saying, do I need to relaunch it?
Possibly, it's having some trouble.
I'm going to say we're going to keep going with it now, and if we have to, end up just using the archive. So let's just keep on flowing, though, real quick. Yeah, you make Miis, and they talk to each other. And it's free to play on smartphones, so that's about all I got. Yay!
I mean, I wasn't expecting much from their first game.
I was expecting a game, though. So, but this just seems like not
A diversion?
Yeah. I don't know. There's supposed to be, I think, 4 more games being offered up in 2016, so hopefully there'll be something a little bit more exciting. Where are we at now? The new Xbox One experience and 360 compatibility has a date. It's going to come out on November 12th. So this is going to be the big UI redesign that's been in the works for Xbox One, mainly since Kinect's no longer necessary to use on the console. Turns out the user interface, when it came out initially, was designed mostly for voice chat and the gesture-based functions. So now they're redesigning that so that it's easier to get around with a controller.
Good.
Yes.
Good, yeah.
But that $50 Connect price drop though. They still think that you want it.
Yeah. I mean, if I had an Xbox One, I'd like to mess around with one of those Kinects, but there are fewer and fewer games that are justifying the purchase of that. I mean, and the fact, though, that live streaming is becoming more of a thing on these consoles now, and having your own face you can put in the corner. Like, I know PlayStation cameras, for whatever reason, are still really popular. Actually, they're pretty cheap now. I think they're like $30. But Kinect's like $150. Well, I guess if there was a price drop, a little cheaper than that. But the 360 backwards compatibility is probably the bigger thing. They've actually announced there are some games for gold that are going to be the backwards compatible stuff. Yeah. But it's like Dungeon Siege and Dirt 3, I think.
But those are the two like major games. The other two Xbox One exclusives, I guess, are not as big of titles. But I feel like that's a really good precedent since like PlayStation 4 has always had at least 3 games every month on the Instant Game Collection. So.
Yeah, and there was actually recently a survey going around for PlayStation owners talking about the possibility of bringing PS1 and PS2 classics to PlayStation 4, which I would be totally down for if they did.
So there's an interesting little tidbit to this. Years ago, Sony patented a technology that allows game developers to interface with their old ISOs for the PS1 games and potentially PS2 games that allows them to read data and then modify that read data to influence a trophy system. So basically injecting trophies into PS1 games without having to change the PS1 game.
That's kind of like the retro achievement, I think that's the name of the website. It's essentially crowdsourced achievements for old games that people have made and profiles, so you can go get achievements on the original Mario, which I think is kind of really neat.
Yeah.
And yeah, go for
Sorry.
it.
I mean, but there are some other really major kind of things that were on this survey. The majority of this survey has been stuff that people have been bitching about for the last
name changes.
Okay, so name changes baffles me the most because people have been wanting it forever. Sony said that they've been struggling to get that functionality to work.
Like, clearly it's a technical thing on their side. They would have gotten it to work if it was easy.
Yeah, earlier this year, a pretty reliable source who has had a history of accurate leaks, especially for games on the PlayStation platform, he said that name changes were going to be announced this year at PlayStation Experience. So, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, that would be a pretty big announcement at the end right there.
But that also kind of goes against what Shuhei said yesterday, where it just isn't something that's feasible at the moment. I don't know. But other things are folders for the PS4 UI, appear offline mode, notifications for when people come online, all really rudimentary.
Maybe fix that. What's the thing that got put in recently? The group system?
Oh my goodness. What a fucking shitstorm that ended up being.
Pretty tragic.
I got added to like 10 different groups because people. So it's called your favorites group, right? But it's not a list of people who you like. It's a list of people who you like that are getting thrown into a chat room that are getting updated about your chats every single time you put something in there.
So you could be not. It sounds like the worst ways of getting integrated into a mass reply mail and how people just won't stop replying to it. And you just have to see that over and over and over until you get removed from said mailing list.
But another thing on this list was the store wish list.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently that functionality has already been integrated into the PlayStation Store, because if you go to the browser page,
you can make a favorites list, right?
You can make a favorite, and then there's also an unactivated option that lets you see other people's wish lists.
Gotcha.
And so like this damn survey just doesn't really make much sense.
There's all these things we need. I think they just sort of want a priority list of what they should work on. But let's continue. You guys seen the Xbox Elite controller? I think we've talked about a few times here. That got recently released. A $150 piece of plastic to control your games with. It's getting pretty good reviews so far. The main sentiment I've seen is it's good, but it's still $150, and that's a lot of money.
I mean, isn't that what we said last week?
Basically. I mean, but this is the first time we're actually hearing from reviewers that, they can feel a difference between it and the regular Xbox One controller. And just seeing some of this, don't read any of the special features on this, because it's only going to make you, the fact that they've put metal frames around the rings of the sticks, and so that you don't have to worry about wearing out the plastic. They've done so many rotations, or the way that the magnets work. Just it really makes me want to get one, but I do not have the money for that. I don't know. I do so much gaming as it is, though. It would be nice to have a better controller. And my PlayStation 4 controllers just keep giving out on me. Fallout 4 is going to have preloading.
Cool, I guess.
Isn't that expected behavior?
It got announced. We don't.
Yeah.
Wasn't. There are so many things that end up being an exception to that. Until I hear the announcement, I still don't expect it to be a thing.
I don't know. I never care either way if I'm able to preload it or not. I rarely buy games on day one now anymore. So it's really non-issue for me. However, I mean, when it comes right down to it, I mean, they're probably just going to give you a disc with a Steam download code anyway. So
yeah, there was a story.
They already announced that.
Yeah. There we go.
There's a large portion of the data is on the DVD, because this comes on a DVD, but you still are going to have to download a significant amount of patch data on day one.
Of course it comes on DVD. How many people have a Blu-ray drive in their computers?
I think it's multiple DVDs, actually. But that's the thing. It's just games are getting to the point where they don't... what was Grand Theft Auto 5? Wasn't it 8 DVDs?
I don't know. It was 50 gigs for the download, so...
Mm-hmm. The better question, of course, is, once again, who actually has a DVD drive in their computer?
I do.
I think DVD drives are much more plentiful than Blu-ray drives by a large margin.
But I'm just saying...
Mine is actually... Yeah, mine is a DVD-R drive, even.
I can't remember the last time I picked up a DVD to actually use, though. Everything I install now is, through the web.
I mean, that's true, but we are kind of a unique demographic in that respect. This preloading thing is a luxury for the people who
have
can get it
internet.
anyway.
Yeah,
but it's really, really good for not even people who have limited download capacities, but they have just limited download speeds.
Or
Yeah,
different times of day in which their network can function.
We're still evolving in this digital age right now as far as getting everything just digitally. And in all honesty, I prefer to have a hard copy of things whenever I am able to get it.
I don't have the space anymore. I'm starting to get rid of my stuff. Honestly, I just
If this was 5 years ago, I would agree with Trey. But the fact that the industry norm has become to release broken games, or not even broken games, it's kind of being a little bit biased, but it's spending less time on quality assurance before the game goes gold and working on that after the game goes gold. So these games require day one patches. That's what makes me a bit more dubious about having a disc version of the game, especially since you can't play it.
It's a thing where it goes into the fact of you want to be able to keep that game, and this digital stuff that we have, all the digital distribution services are temporary at best. The thing is, you don't know at any point Steam could be like, we're done, and then
agree with you.
Gone.
I totally agree with you, but the fact of the matter is that if that doesn't matter anymore. Even if, despite you having the physical disc, you still wouldn't be able to play the game because you still need a day one patch.
Yeah, you can still play the game. It just wouldn't be as good.
These games you can't play without the day one patch.
Some of them. It depends on what game you're talking about specifically. I'm talking in a broad general sense.
I would say the major games like Fallout, Batman that's got patched, that's still shit.
Oh yes, that's the other thing right now. Apparently the specs have been bumped up. If you own Windows 10, you now need 12 gigs of RAM as opposed to 8. So yeah, I'm hearing varied reports on that game. There are some that are better, and there are some saying that that hasn't changed at all. We don't know any of us for a fact, but it's very hard to not think otherwise, that certification in games no longer takes nearly as long as it did anymore with the advent of being able to patch a game post-release.
And you know what? I'm not okay with that. I don't think we should be okay at all with them releasing games that are in these shitty states. And we've seen people rebut them in things like with Batman, where Warner Brothers finally decided to pull it off of Steam. But still, just because they can doesn't mean that they should release a crappy product.
But this issue extends well beyond video games. This issue extends into digital market in general. So, I don't like it either. I do not like that this has become normal, but I'm aware why it has become normal.
I get why. I understand it's about their bottom line. It's cheaper for them not to make physical copies of the disc. It's faster and it makes them more money if they sell copies in advance, whether it's broken or not, and then fix it later. I understand it.
How would you feel if the physical copy of a game was released months after the digital version? But the physical version came complete with all patches up to them.
Yeah, that would also be fine.
This is sort of
however,
like an early buy-in.
There is a small problem with that of archiving the original version of the game and wanting to make sure that you have all versions of it for just because posterity.
Our digital future is messy, but it does mean I don't have to go out to GameStop as often anymore, which is kind of nice. There are so many different tangents and issues that are all involved with this. I agree with you all on pretty much all those points, but there are counterpoints to everything. Games are more complex than they've ever been, so of course there are going to be things that are broken.
They're also huge.
Yeah,
I'm sure nobody enjoyed having an 8-disc DVD installation process.
I don't want games to be broken when they come out, but I do want to play Fallout 4 as soon as I possibly can. I fully expect that game is getting not only a day 1 patch, but a day 2 patch and a day 3 patch as more and more.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
How often does that company release games that aren't buggy as hell?
I mean, that's just sort of a hallmark of their... But to the point where it's sort of become this kind of cute, oh, you guys are trying, and yeah, it's just really goofy that Giant just slammed me up into the world, but, I'll give you
some bugs. Some bugs are certainly very cute, very amusing, but I feel that Bethesda should not be an exception to quality assurance standards.
No, I mean, especially with the disaster that was Skyrim on the PS3, the fact that the game, after, what was it, 80 hours on a single account, the game became unplayable. Like, the frame rate dropped down to single digits, and you had to start over. That's unacceptable.
But they eventually patched that to fix it, unlike Payday.
Well,
Yeah, but at the same time, Bethesda constantly on almost all their games gets to a point where they're just like, fuck it. We know this breaks sometimes, but we're just not going to fix it because if you're just smart enough, you just say it beforehand. It's fine. They can just say it beforehand. It's okay. And then that's where modders end up coming in and making unofficial patches for things, which is Skyrim.
I'm curious about that too, because with the announcement of patch support then for consoles, Skyrim and Fallout before it, they have had plenty of fan patches that do all the bug fixes that developers don't do. I'm curious if those bug fix patches will eventually come to consoles that are, the non-developer supported patches. That would be interesting as well.
I mean, how?
That would be really messy.
Could
that
be.
would that could I could see some liability issues.
Yeah, because that could technically be considered modding your system.
Well, they've already talked about, though, that mods will be supported on the consoles. We still don't know what that system is going to look like, though.
It's one thing to add content to a game. It's another to manipulate the back end.
I mean, if I had to take a guess right now, that they're going to probably end up curating a certain amount of modded content to be allowed onto the consoles.
But I want my dicks.
I know. I don't think you're going to get them if you play them on your PS4. But you play on PC, go nuts.
For that.
I also would not be surprised if this was the second trying of the paid mod front.
No.
I feel like they have to. I know you don't want it, Trey.
So
I don't want it either.
This is an interesting sociological phenomena. I wanted to refer to eBay on this. So when eBay first launched, it had a certain color palette, and then one day they just wanted to convert the entire look of the user interface for eBay to like yellow or something, to a completely different color. Everyone flipped their fucking pancakes over it. So they rolled it back, but then over a gradual process of the next 2 or 3 years, they slowly integrated those assets, and by the time that they ended up with it, like at the end of this process, it was the same exact thing, but no one was bitching over it.
Because they had done a slow integration of it.
Yeah, this is probably still something they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, of course they want to.
And it's probably going to get there just very slowly.
I mean, that's kind of an interesting. I think that is a good analogy for it, because the way that the paid Steamworks stuff was shown, it was very much, let's do all of these things and completely pull the rug out from under you. And of course, there was going to be a huge, fight back against that. But if they do smaller things here, like, oh, this is a mod pack that we recommend. It's totally free, but you can also maybe suggestively pay 99 cents because, we feel like it'd be good. And it's like, oh, we're going to make it so that the mod devs get like 95% of the profit and we only get 5%, and then we start tweaking those numbers a bit.
Where I'd have that's where I might go on board. As soon as you're like, okay, we're going to give the vast majority of the money to the people that actually made the mod.
He said the opposite. He said 95% goes to Bethesda.
No, I meant that 95% goes to the mod author.
I could have sworn I heard it was the mod author. Whatever.
Okay, well, but sorry, I must have misheard. But when it first launched, the majority of the money was not going to.
It was something like 70-30 in favor of.
Yeah.
Actually, it was like 30-40, and 30 of that was Steam, 40 of that was Bethesda, and then 3 was mod authors.
Yeah.
So.
And yeah, that was the main thing that also got me up in arms, because I think mod authors are brilliant, and despite Bethesda creating the platform, I still think that all of that's a paltry amount of money to go to what people, start as a hobby, possibly turn into a career. It's the same problem that I have with the Nintendo partner platform. I think that the creators don't get I understand that the companies create the tools and the platform to make all this stuff, but I still think that all of this stuff is secondary market and it's just gravy. Why would you poison, the well before it even becomes usable?
Yeah.
So, But that's
I
all.
think that
It's all still hypothetical stuff. We don't know that's going to happen with Fallout 4. It's just my guess.
I think that the best way for this to happen is if the service takes a processing fee
Hmm.
or a service fee. So like Steam takes 15-20%, and the developer does not get any. Because
Yeah. But I don't think
I
that's
feel
going to
like
happen. I think that the devs want a small cut of that.
Everybody wants the cut. Everybody wants
yeah,
their way. Everybody wants to get as much money as they possibly
but
can. It's a matter of what we as consumers think they deserve, and that's where we should be putting our money. And then we should be
I mean,
freaking pissed off whenever we're not getting that.
but the thing is, they are making money off of mods already,
Because you
especially
have to
since you
buy the
yourself.
platform.
Yeah.
Exactly. You have said this multiple times that you expect, like you may, like for you, it's not about buying what it is. It's about buying all the content that comes with it for modders to use.
Oh yeah. Like there are many games that I play still because of mods. Skyrim is a big one. If they didn't have a
Yeah.
modding community, I would have stopped playing that game after about 20 to 30 hours, max.
They also ran the numbers when they did this paid mod expansion. They sold a bunch of copies of Skyrim, despite the bad feedback. They discounted it as well when it was doing it.
Exactly.
But,
So
if you
they
make good
like,
mods, you will sell more of the base game.
Yeah, because people
the
feel like they're getting
community
their value.
support will encourage purchases of their product. They don't need to be double dipping.
Mm-hmm. We'll know more about that though once things happen. It's still a very interesting scene. Modders should, if they feel like they should get paid, they should get paid. But it would be nice if they actually got paid.
Honestly, I don't know about all that.
Mm.
Feeling you should get paid is not the same as deserving to get paid.
I mean, if you want to pay $99 for, an apple that gets put on that table there, you can totally do that. You can sit it up there. I'm not saying you're going to get paid, but keep everything in mind in moderation. Anybody here play Quake Live at all, or Quake back in the day?
Not really, no.
Okay, so I'll probably have to explain this story. This is an interesting thing that was on Kotaku. Quake Live, back in 2009, was when it was launched. It was a browser-based version, essentially, of Quake 3. You could play it on a myriad of computers, and it was just really interesting to see this sort of well-beloved classic game run, on a browser. You fast forward to today, and there's been some announcement stuff leading up to it. It is now run through Steam as opposed to through browsers. It made the jump off of its platform, which was originally free to play with some subscription stuff added to it, to now being a $10 game on Steam. Requires a Steam account, and it's got the player base up in arms. First, because they think that the $10 price tag is going to stifle bringing in people into the community, but also they managed to wipe away 6 years of stat tracking.
Ooh.
And clans and friends list and things that just none of that made the jump going from their browser version to Steamworks.
I mean, that makes sense. It's a different server.
It is, but people are pissed.
It does, yeah, but if you've been playing a game for 8 years...
And don't get me... Quake is one of those original esport type things. There are people that absolutely care about their stats.
Yeah.
It's your granddad's esport.
Yeah. And now that's all gone. And there apparently was no effort to try to preserve any of that either. There's an article up here on Kotaku that can sort of sum it up better than I did, but it's just this complete irreverence for your actual fan base who are already hoisting up this kind of niche title. Quake Live never really set the world on fire. It was sort of always there in the background as this nifty way to play Quake 3 afterwards. But yeah, it really sucks.
Yeah, I can see people not being happy about that.
Yeah.
So, I feel like this would not. This is fucking nonsense. In the part of the developer or whoever's fucking handling the servers, when has pulling the rug out from under the gaming community ever worked out for the better?
I was going to say
pre-orders.
never, unless they're getting tons and tons of benefit. But when you start changing underlying stuff, people always get without
Well, I mean, normally things come with an announcement. Pre-orders, you're told ahead of time. But with the thing we were just talking about with paid mods on Steam was not announced. It was just thrusted onto the community. The thing with Payday 2 where all of a sudden there was microtransactions. This where the servers get transferred all of a sudden without announcement. Like, I feel like some of these issues would not be as bad if they just fucking talk about it beforehand.
We are also now in the age of greater development communication, and like everybody needs to be held up to the standard as well. Like it's one of those things that is sort of really been thrust upon us because of Kickstarter and things like that, sort of seeing how everything works behind the curtains. And I think it's a change for the good. It's just now even like when you don't have that transparency, it's all the more likely you're going to get up in arms.
Yeah.
But with this server issue, it's barely an issue of transparency. It's just fucking mention it before you do it.
But even then, like people would still get up in arms, like, "Hey,
Well,
transfer my stats."
I see where he's coming from. Not as many people would be pissed off because they would have at least known it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like if it was already free. If it was already free, that would have given the community to probably come up with a method of storing those.
The stats.
Yeah, and that would make the transition to a fresh server less fucking annoying, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Less detrimental to the community, but I don't know.
I would say take a look at the Kotaku article. Like it can definitely go into more depth than we have about this. So.
I mean, the Kotaku article is just talking about people being pissed. Yep. It's not really giving you any sources. It doesn't ever.
No, I mean, it does have. The
only source it links to is the Steam page.
Mm-hmm. No, it also has the forums and also the broken links to the original browser stuff, which I don't know if we can actually call that to be a source as well. But yeah. Let's keep going, because this is by far the most important.
Yeah, this is my favorite story.
Twitch is running an 8-day marathon of Bob Ross painting.
Happy trees.
Happy trees. Happy mountains.
I mean, he kind of set the stage for live streaming.
That's what I was saying, but
Kevin was actually talking to me about that, like right before we started, and you just mentioned he just fills in with the right amount of small talk and a little bit of technique here and high entertainment value of something simple and showing people how to do something. It's perfect.
So this is apparently part of an initiative right now that Twitch has to let people start streaming like crafty stuff, like how you make things and whatnot.
Well, that has already existed on Twitch. It's called the Creative Channel.
Right, but now I think they're trying to get behind it and like
pushing it a bit more.
Yeah, than they've had before.
My issue, so
you have an issue with this? How do you have an issue with this?
My issue is not so much. It's what is then the identity of Twitch becoming?
It's streaming service.
Yeah, but it's so Twitch was already the gaming focused channel for what Justin.tv, and Justin.tv was already the generalized platform, and Twitch was the focused platform. But now Twitch is like taking steps back. This is probably more of a.
I don't see like steps back. I feel like it's just offshoots here, and there's nothing wrong with supporting communities.
Like it might be. I think. Miguel, you might have been getting ready to say this, that it's mostly just them responding to where YouTube's got their gaming-centric thing now,
exactly.
So they're trying to expand their brand.
Exactly. Like, that's how I feel. Like, this is not something
You never asked for this.
Well, it's not so much asking for it, because there's things I get all the time that I don't ask for, that I love. But this is just, it's kind of, I think it's not... like, it's just kind of out of nowhere.
I think it's harmless. Like, especially if you go watch it now, people are I think it capped out at like 387,000 viewers. Like, people like to watch Bob Ross paint. But
it's also
makes you feel good.
It's also Twitch plays. Like, it's not like Twitch plays only lasted like 2-3 weeks before a fraction of the community still existed. So giving metrics for the first day, for the first week, is not indicative of anything in the future.
I mean, this could blow up even more so. This is a 8-day marathon. I think this is all of his episodes. I think this is also in celebration of his birthday, I want to say. But I'm sorry, I got the numbers way wrong. It's 37,000, not 387,000. That's
Jeez,
a whole hundred.
That's quite a discrepancy there, Kevin.
You're right.
300,000.
Yeah. Yeah. I was only off by 300,000. Sorry.
What? You know what this could be?
What?
This could be exactly what I'm saying. This could be something that's not related to gaming at all. This could be their attempt to broadening their audience beyond gaming.
That's what I was thinking. It's gonna be. I mean, it's only inevitable till we end up getting Twitch streams adults or something like that, and then
That already exists.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's not Twitch endorsed, but there are gaming services that have people having sex playing games, people showing their tits playing games. Like,
you don't say. But anyways, yeah, go watch Bob Ross paint some happy trees. That's all I got to say.
Well, I mean, when you say you don't say, this is. I became aware of these channels, of these websites, when Twitch made that
Oh, those
statement.
bans on adult games and.
Well, not bans on adult games, bans on citations on streamers who are showing too much cleavage or men who aren't wearing shirts while playing games. They said this is a family thing. Like, this is something that anyone should be able to come see. There are other websites for your basically. Mm-hmm. There are websites for your indiscretions or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
So.
They're out there.
I just like that this. I like competition. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Trey, you've got this last little thing here from
Paradox
Entertainment. I think it was like a week ago, but still, really cool.
Yeah. It happened fairly recently, but yeah, Paradox Interactive, the guys that make some of my favorite games, such as Crusader Kings 2, Mountain Blade, and quite a number of other things, ended up deciding to buy the White Wolf IPs, like Vampire the Masquerade and the rest of the World of Darkness stuff, from CCP, who had acquired White Wolf's IPs and was going to make an MMO with those, but the project was abandoned in 2014. So nice to see a studio that I have some faith in pick up this group of ideas that I would love to see more storyline in.
But also, one thing that you've left out is that Obsidian is also part of this agreement. Obsidian is going to help them with those new IPs.
I missed that. Thank you, and that's a great thing to see.
Yeah, that's like another thing. That's like icing on the cake. So yeah, I'm also pretty excited.
Yeah, because they already made Paradox Plus Obsidian helped to make Pillars of Eternity. So I'm looking forward to this. This looks like it's going to be good things.
Yay! When gaming just works out. Bravo! A little golf clap right here.
There's one more thing that was attached to this. There was a game.
I think
I want to say this is. I really need to double check now because that was Rebellion. But isn't Rebellion owned by Paradox? Never mind. No, this is all cool. Let's keep going here, and let's actually finish up with the little segment I like to call Steam RNG. Steamrung, you got it.
Steamrung.
People who haven't participated in the show before like to know this is where we go through our host libraries here. We figure out what games they purchased, why they purchased them, and if they've beaten them, which is the reason, and usually it's never. They have not finished it, is what it comes down to.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm like a little bit there. We're going to go ahead and start with Trey, though.
All right.
Let's see. I need to get your games owned up here real quick.
Stop.
I haven't even put in the money yet.
Started.
Gosh.
Let me pull it up. Stop pulling it up. Stop it.
I really am wondering how much background noise is going to be here. I need to soundproof my place, I swear. Anyways, throwing the coins now and whenever Trey.
Stop.
Okay. Evil Genius.
Evil Genius. That's a wonderful game. It's basically you are a stereotypical megalomaniac James Bond villain, and you get your own island base and henchmen and minions to carry out nefarious plots around the world. And every once in a while, the powers that be in the world will send special agents to come try to infiltrate your base. And then you can make elaborate traps to catch them in and spin them around and earn money off of that. And you have your different types of minions and your henchmen who are like your minions that are better and with superpowers and stuff. and send them off to go commit crimes for you, and you get treasures that you can display in your evil lair, and you can make really, really elaborate traps to just trap people in forever or kill them outright, and all sorts of things. And it's wonderful. One of the things you can do is like go up to a prisoner that's a special agent and gloat over them and laugh at them. But if you do it, there's a chance that they'll escape. It's pretty cool. It's very themed around like the 50s to 70s spy thriller type of stuff. It's very, very stereotypical and wonderful because of it.
This is by Elixir Studios and published by Rebellion. This came out in 2004.
Yes.
Game. You want to talk about how many hours you've thrown in?
But please tell me. I don't even know.
I have you listed as 48.
Yeah, that sounds about right for that one.
Yeah, so you've played quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Have you beaten it?
Yes and no. I mean, like,
is it one of those games?
Like, it's one of those games, like, there is an end objective that you eventually get to, but at the same time, I kind of consider it beat once I figured out a way to make an infinite money loop to just farm gold until I don't care about anything anymore. So
becoming the real evil genius then. Cool. Nifty. You should stream some of that at some point. Let's see.
I need a dead horse.
I'm gonna need to throw up Miguel's in just a second, but we're gonna go ahead and do mine real quick. Yeah, basically is what it comes down to. So, gonna throw in some coins then real quick, and when one of the other co-hosts goes ahead and says the magic words, we'll go ahead and get to my game. Please do it real quick.
Oh, stop. I didn't know if it was time.
Mortal Kombat Collection.
Alright.
I don't know if I've actually played this. No, I'm sorry. I've played 15 minutes of this game. This is Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3, like the original arcade cabinets, with really terrible games for Windows Live support, so that you have to log in with an Xbox Live account in order to play it.
Oh, I haven't heard that in a little while.
Yeah, I mean I know they trashed that, so I don't even know if this game is even still functional anymore.
Probably not.
So that would be interesting.
I think that right now, if you try to access Xbox Live via PC, it sends out a patch that removes the security thing, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know what else there is to say, honestly, other than it's Mortal Kombat. So, okay, now I need to pull up Miguel's list, and I'm having trouble finding it. That's not it. Post advertisement, game list. That's it. Okay, got it. So, I think you put some new stuff on here recently. Gonna throw in some coins real quick. Do it for Miguel. Whenever he says stop, we'll go ahead and get his game.
Stop.
I've got Resogun.
Oh, Resogun. Speaking of House Marquet or whatever.
Yeah, House Marquet. We were just talking about them earlier this week.
This is their PS4 exclusive game that came out near launch or at launch. I think it was near launch. It was free on PlayStation Plus for a while. What it is, it's a kind of shmup, shoot 'em up, where side-scrolling, where there isn't a story or anything. It's more about let's see who can get the highest score.
Save the last human.
Yeah, save the last human. But since the release, they've added free updates, like local multiplayer was one, and then they also added an expansion to it that adds a lot more gameplay features. So I like it. I have not really ever gotten very far in it. I kind of just like, whenever my brother or someone's over here, I'm just like, oh, do you want to shoot the shit? Let's play. Well, I mean, humans aren't shit. I'm shooting the enemies, but
I understand what you're saying. But
yeah.
I do believe this was a launch game, and actually like a surprisingly good showcase for some of the graphical power behind the PS4. There are lots of explosions going on all over the place.
It's less about the graphical fidelity, I'd say, and more about the amount of particles that the game can render. The game can render anytime something dies, it just explodes into cubes. and it's a very satisfying feeling when you kill something, or even when you die, you just explode into all these little cubes. So, I mean, when you look to the PS Vita version of the game, it's like you die and it's just like a sad little drift in the wind.
Have you beaten it, or is it a game you can beat?
I mean, you can get through the levels, I suppose, but you don't. I've never really beaten it. I've never gotten through all the levels.
Okay. Well, going to be looking forward to you streaming some of that then, hopefully a little bit later if things do end up getting a little bit lighter for you guys, and that's going to be Steam RNG. Let's go ahead and close out the show real quick because it's getting way too loud in my house, clearly. So for more news and articles related to the podcast, please check out pixelloadout.wordpress.com. .wordpress, that's right. We've actually got a new WordPress site we're going to be promoting now, and it looks super pretty. You should go check that out and start subscribing to that. Forget that old Blogspot. Nobody cares about that anymore. On YouTube, search Pixel Loadout or click the subscribe button below if you're watching the stream or archive. Audio-only versions of the podcast can be found on iTunes and Stitcher. Our intro music is done by Kevin McLeod. You can find more of his work at coptech.com. Our outro music is done by Macross82-99. Check out his stuff at soundcloud.com/Macross-82-99. Our executive producer is Mike Brothers. Finally, if you want to get in contact with us, share your questions, comments, concerns, please email us at pixelloadout@gmail.com. For Pixel Loadout, I'm Kevin Harrison.
I'm Trey Fuqua.
And I'm Miguel Torres.
And we will see you next week.